Hello and welcome to a new video. Blizzard released a bloopers yesterday and a video depicting some information about Phase 2 and some of the upcoming changes they will be doing in Season of Discovery. And boy howdy, it's a lot. So let's strap in, let's get started, and let's start with the upcoming level up raid, Gnomeregan. So Gnomeregan stays as a 10-player raid, same as Blackfathom Deeps. That's no surprise there. And it will have 6 bosses. That's one more than the normal dungeon. Um, all the bosses have new mechanics. They've all been built up from the ground up. So nothing is exactly the same as it was before. For example, Grubbis in that area there is now going to have a new mechanic with 2 new radiation vents. You can see they're up top. That'll be interesting to see what's going to happen there. Um, Crowd Pummeler is in a new location. He's now on a big platform with a horde of gnomish onlookers or spectators, and they revealed he is going to have some ability that might be able to push you off that platform into what they call a pit of death. So he'll probably have like a pushback mechanic you'll have to avoid at some point. And Turboplug, which I think will be the last boss of the raid, seems to have gone all Iron Man, has like different kind of suits. You see a blue suit there and a green suit, which I suppose will have some nature damage based or frost damage based attacks, which you have to tank and or avoid. So yeah, that's an interesting twist on these well-known bosses from Classic. There's also going to be a ton of new loot, with a few like hints to previous items from the original dungeon. Like the name's been slightly altered, but all the stats have been improved, of course, and they'll have like current seasonal discovery stats. And as I said before in previous video, the automatic crowd pummeler now has an unused effect, but it's you don't have to keep farming them to make it viable. I'll look at you, druids, at a later level. So you just need one. It has unused effect with 3 minutes cooldown, and you can use it every 3 minutes. Now, what they also said, they're gonna have like a lot more epics in Gnomeregan than they had in BFD. However, in BFD, they all dropped from the last 2 bosses, which in Gnomeregan will not be the case. They're looking at alternative means of providing you with epics in that particular raid. That's all we know about it at the moment. We know there's a couple of professions that will get loads more epics as well. But more about that later. Professions is something I'll come to later on. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we can get maybe an epic from the first boss or from different means through quests or any other means. They've also included some fun things in this raid. Some items that drop from who knows where that doesn't really have any statistical means for you or won't improve your performance in a raid or anything. It's just like a fun thing to have. It's like Orb of Deception that transforms you into a Trog or a World Warper. Who knows what that might be? Could it be like a teleporter, like a world teleporter? That'd be cool. And the Radiant Ray Reflectors, which are a nice pair of sunglasses, or sunnies. So it look cool. But they don't have no stats, so it will not improve you in any way. So that's just something fun to have. And just like in BFD, we'll have new set pieces and new raid sets, but they're doing it a bit differently than before in the first raid. Uh, they are going to include tokens, and these tokens you'll be familiar with them, like we had them in Karazhan and any other raid really. You can exchange for a piece of gear. Now these tokens are available to everyone at this very point. This hasn't changed yet. There's no class restriction on any token. So if a token drops, you can have it regardless if you're a paladin, priest, warrior, mage, whatever. You can roll on that token, and if you win it, you can hand it in and get your piece of gear for whatever spec you are at the moment. This is to avoid gear fatigue, where the same set piece drops every week or every lockout. to make it a bit more fun for people, and so they don't get disappointed when their piece of gear doesn't drop for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lockouts on end. So everyone gets a piece of gear and is happy. And that's most of the information we have about Gnomeregan. Of course, it's a level 40 raid. It's a max phase raid, I should say, not max level, max phase raid, just like BFD was. So we'll head into our next section, which is some updates to dungeons. Now, I do think this will be phase 2 dungeons. I don't think these will drop from phase 1 dungeons, but we don't know. We'll see. And it's a bit of a quality of life improvement as well. We have a few things, green items, but we only know about 3 green items at the moment. Blizzard did say there will be many, many more things like this. So I'm curious what these things are going to be. There are skill books. If you think about skill books, they're not like the books that teach you different skills like we had in the original classic, for example. No, these are like scrolls or revelations for the shamans that will enhance recurrent skills. Like for Paladin, we have the Testament of Enhanced Blessings. What enhanced blessings are, no idea. I assume these will be greater blessings, like longer versions of the 500 blessings we have. And for the shamans, we have the Revelation of Totemic Projection. I assume this is Totemic Recall, or you can pop down all your totems with one button. The Rogue one seems to be pretty good, actually. The Manual of Redirect. Now, Rogue tanks have an issue where they build up combo points on one target, and when they have to switch, they lose all combo points. This Manual of Redirect will fix that pretty much, and will redirect your combo points to the target you are targeting, which might be a bit handy for rogue tanks when they have to tank more than one mob. Now, we'll come up to the rune abilities in a bit for different classes, and I think the rogue tanks get quite a bit of love there within AoE, but we'll see that shortly. They've also showed off some new runes we're going to see in Phase 2. 2 per class, 3 for the shamans. We'll see why in a few minutes. Let's start with Paladin, because that's the first they also discussed. We get Sheet of Light. That it's a belt rune, so that's a new rune slot as well. Same with the boots. So we got belt and boots. So I assume those will be the only 2 rune slots we're going to have in Phase 2. So Sheet of Light is dealing damage with your melee weapon, increase your spell power by a amount of 30% of your attack power for 1 minute. In addition, your critical healing spells heal a target for 60% of the heal amount over 12 seconds. This is a pretty good one. This is something we are familiar with. I think this is in Wrath or Cataclysm. I can't remember which expansion this was in. Then we have Guarded by the Light. This is the boot ring. Each time you hit a target with your melee weapon, you gain 5% of your maximum mana per 3 seconds for 15 seconds. However, the amount of heal by a flash of light, Holy Light, and Holy Shock is reduced by 50%. Now, this could be handy in moments where there's downtime, where you don't have to heal anything for, let's say, 15 seconds. Hit a target or the boss with your melee weapon, and you get some mana back. It's pretty good. Next up is our favorite nerfing target, the Hunter. And Melee Hunter Rejoice, you get a rune. On your belt, you get Melee Specialist. Raptor Strike cooldown reduced by 3 seconds, and it's now instant. Mongoose Bite, its cooldown is removed, and Raptor Strike has a 30% chance on each attack to not trigger its cooldown. So if you're going the Melee Hunter route, this might be a nice boost in your DPS. I don't see that viable yet as of now. But I'm just leveling my hunter now. So I'm just level 18, so I haven't really experienced any melee prowess just yet. Hunters, you get your trap launcher. This is your boots rune. Your traps can now be placed at any location within 40 yards, and can be placed while you are in combat. That's a big one. Additionally, your fire-based and frost-based traps now have a separate shared cooldown. So that's pretty good. In combat traps, always nice. Now on to our overpowered ragey friends, the warriors. You'll be getting Rallying Cry on your boots. You let loose a Rallying Cry, granting all party and raid members within 40 yards a 50% increased maximum health for 10 seconds. So it's a mini shield wall for the entire raid. That's a pretty good raid-wide buff you're giving there. And then for your belt, you're getting Blood Surge, Heroic Strike, Bloodthirst, and Whirlwind have a 30% chance to make your next slam within 15-second instant and cost no rage. Another button to press with no rage. That's pretty decent and a very good DPS boost outside. Now, as I said before, the rogues get some more tanky love, which I think will help them. Your belt rune is Shuriken Toss. Throw a shuriken at your enemy, dealing damage equal to 25% of your attack power, and also strike up to 4 additional nearby targets. This awards 1 combo point. Now, this is a nice bit of AoE you could probably have on your belt. Then you have Master of Subtlety, which is your boots rune. Attacks made while stealthed and for 6 seconds after breaking stealth cost an additional 10% damage. Sounds nice. I don't have a rogue. Never played a rogue. Not sure how impactful this Master of Subtlety is. Now, priests, you get Mind Spike for your belt. This rune is blast the target for some damage, Shadowfrost damage, and increase the critical strike chance of your next Mind Blast for the target by 30%. This stacks up to 3 times. This could be a nice boost to your damage, because we all know like Shadow Priests or DPS Priests are lacking in DPS at the moment in the raids. I think they're at the bottom at the very moment, so they could get all the love they need. Now, on your boots, you get Pain Suppression. Instantly reduces all damage taken by a friendly target by 40% and increases the resistance to the spell mechanics by 65% for 8 seconds. This is something we all know about. We all love Pain Suppression as a tank, and the resistance to spell mechanics is a nice one for PvP. Next up, our demonic friends, the Warlocks. You get Invocation on your belt. Refreshing Corruption, Immolate, Curse of Agony, or Siphon Life. When it has less than 6 seconds durations remaining, will cause you to deal instant damage to the target, equal to 1 period of that spell's periodic damage. So you have some leeway to refresh your dots. So you don't have to refresh them at the exact time they expire, which is a quality of life, I suppose. Your boot runes seems to be like a rune aimed at your tanky boys out there. It's Dance of the Wicked. You and your demon pet gain dodge chance equal to your spell critical strike chance each time you deal a critical strike to an enemy, and also both regain 2% of maximum mana. So that might help our tanky boys a bit. The Mage, the hero class of this season of Discovery. You get Missile Barrage for your belt. It gives your Arcane Blast a 40% chance and your Fireball and Frostbolt spells a 20% chance to reduce the channel duration of your next Arcane Missile spells by 50%. It also reduced the mana cost by 100%. That's a free Arcane Missiles. And missiles will fire every half a second. Now, on your boots, you get a fully new one, actually. Chronostatic Preservation. It fuses arcane, fire, and frost magic to freeze chromatic energies into a stored state for later use. You can hold this energy for up to 15 seconds before it combusts and expires. When unleashed, it can heal a friendly target for an amount of damage or healing there. This spell is considered arcane, fire, and frost for interactions with other spells, talents, and effects. That's a pretty cool one. So you kind of can store some damage there and use it as a heal later. That's pretty cool. Now, Shamans, you get a third one as a bonus preview here. Let's start the first one on your belt. Maelstrom weapon. When you deal damage with a melee attack, you have a chance to reduce the cast time of your next lightning bolt, chain lightning, lesser healing wave, chain heal, or lava burst. Jeez, how many spells you got? By 20%. This stacks up to 5 times and lasts 30 seconds. On your boot, you get Spirit of the Alpha. Infuses the target with Spirit of an Alpha Wolf, increasing all threat generated by the target by 45% for 30 minutes. This is only limiting to one target. So this is basically the opposite of Blessing of Salvation. And I think this is to encourage tanky shamans uh, to help with their threat generation, I suppose, or any warriors or druids with their threat generation, because it says one target, it doesn't say self. I suppose you can buff that on someone else as well. Now the bonus one, two-handed mastery. Yes, indeed, we get two-handed enhancements. Each time you strike an enemy with a two-handed weapon, you gain 30% attack speed with two-handed weapons for 10 seconds. So they've listened. They're gonna make a two-handed enhancement viability spec in there. So enhancement shamans rejoice. Now, on to some PvP news about the new PvP event in Stranglethorn Vale. This is going to be completely different from Ashen Vale. Unlike Ashen Vale, this has no PvE objectives. None. It's called the Blood Moon, and it happens every 3 hours on the dot. Um, so there's no fidgeting about percentages and then reaching 100%, but not really being able to do it just yet, just like Ashtonville is now. And it will last about 30 minutes, half an hour. And it's a zone-wide, free-for-all PvP. So Horde Alliance, you can attack everyone. And it has some twists though. For example, there's a Blood Loa that will be, I assume, roaming around and that will one-shot you if not careful. Think Fel Reaver in the Burning Crusade. They seem to be discouraging large raid groups, so you won't be having any large killing groups, killing everyone. So I'm not sure what will happen if you're in a large raid group. Will you not get any currency or any rewards, or are you gonna have like an active debuff, or are you being killed or hunted by this blood loa? We don't know. It's gonna be very interesting to see what happens there. Now, people who don't want to participate in the PvP event can always opt out. Like I can assume when you're just trying to level in the zone, you don't want to be dragged into this event. You can opt out with one of the Zandalari emissaries, and then you won't have to participate in the event. You probably won't be flagged, I assume, for PvP. Because I assume whenever the event starts, you'll be automatically flagged, like you're flagged when you enter the Gurbashi arena. So when you talk to this emissary, you won't be flagged or you won't be able to participate in the event. Now, just like the Ashtonville event, this PvP event is tied in with the next battleground we're going to be heading into, which is Arati Basin. It's not clear what exactly, because there will be a quest to hand in some kind of lumber, Stranglethorn lumber, for Arati Basin rep. Now, is this like the weekly Ashtonville quest we have right now? We can do it only once a week, or is this something that you can do every 3 hours? I don't know, but we'll see. So this is tied in with Arati Basin, which we're getting in phase 2. And of course, there are also new class-specific item rewards. You can see two here. Like this is a ring for a mage, with 9 stamina, 6 intellect, and increasing the damage done by fire spells up to 16, and a one-handed mace with 10 strength and 6 agility. I assume it's just a small snippet of the rewards you can get. I assume there's going to be much more. Much more like in two new mounts. Um, you can get these by handing in, I assume, the currency will be getting in this event. It's a tiger and a raptor. I'm going to assume the tiger is for Alliance and the raptor is for the Horde. It's good to know, just like any PvP mount, you don't need the riding skill for that particular faction. For example, you don't need Darnassus Rep to be able to ride the tiger, and you won't be needing the Troll, Darkspeed Troll rep to ride the Raptor, so that's good. Now to wrap up some of the PvP adjustments that will be coming in Phase 2, just like the Stranglethorn Veil event, Ashen Veil will be put on a solid, like static timer as well. Every 3 hours is going to happen with 1 hour offset, so it doesn't overlap with the Stranglethorn Veil event. And then something we've all been there, the solo queuing or the premates in Warsong Gulch. They'll make some adjustments. They don't want to discourage people to have premates, but it will be divided into two kind of queues, I'd say. We're gonna have the small group queue and the bigger group queue. If you're queuing with 5 people or less, you're gonna be playing against a team that is also built up from 5 people or less. So you won't be facing a full pre-made. The same thing if you have a group with 6 or more people, you'll be queuing up with other groups that have 6 or more people queued up at once. Now, if for any reason your queue is too long, these rules will be ignored and you're gonna have a quicker match, but you might end up against a pre-mate anyway. So it's the quality of life they're making here. So if you solo queue, you're more likely to end up with other solo queuers or groups with less than 5 people, which makes it a bit more tolerable and maybe easier to have a win here and there. Now, a quick recap about the professions. Just like in Phase 1, we'll see about 20 new recipes across all the non-gathering professions. Just like with blacksmithing, leatherworking, and tailoring have epics added to their repertoire. Um, engineering gets some love, alchemy gets some love, and enchanting gets some love because they feel, especially engineering, is pretty lackluster in vanilla at the moment. Um, so we'll see some love there as well. And you'll have new questions to unlock certain items or recipes. But that's all we know. That literally nothing has been said about this. Um, 2 items you know about is alchemy and enchanting. Um, like you can always add more consumables to alchemy, but this is something that's requires alchemy to properly use. It restores some mana and some health, but the most important bit is it increases your attack by 40 and damage done by all spells by 35 for 15 seconds. So pretty much it's a damage boosting potion. It's a irradiated rejuvenation potion. That's a hard thing to say. Um, and for enchanting, you get enchanted sigil innovation. This is pretty much you give yourself a world buff. You get an enchanted sigil of innovation, empowering you to deal up to 20 increased damage and healing with spells, and increasing attack power by 20 for 30 minutes. Now, when you die, before the cooldown is over, because this has a 30-minute cooldown, you cannot reapply it to yourself. So it's like with a world buff, when it's gone, it's gone. You have to reapply it when you're alive again. Now, while we're talking about world buffs from enchanting, all current world buffs will be kept at level 39. So your Ashen Veil weekly world buff, you cannot have it after 39. Your BFD Blackfoot and Boon can be gained after level 39. Stranglethorn Veil will not have a world buff. Gnormaggen will. So this is to avoid, at level 60 most likely, to avoid you having to go everywhere for the different world buffs. So if they can cap all these world buffs at level 59 for next phases, that'd be fantastic. You don't have to run around everywhere. They've also shared some updates about leveling. how will we level from 25 to 40 and from 1 to 25. At BlizzCon, they already said they're going to probably implement a leveling buff, which they announced here. The Discover's Delight is a 50% leveling buff, which will be on your character from level 1 to 25, give you more experience from any source by 50%, which is quite big. Black Phantom Deep's Raid will give a sizable amount of experience upon completion. So every 3 days, you'll be able to get a big chunk there as well. And the Waylaid supplies will give a greatly increased XP. But that's all we know. They're going to change this greatly. They're still testing and tuning this. And there will be a new blue post explaining more into detail what they'll be doing with the Waylaid supplies. You might remember Just Greenfield on X, Twitter, I don't know, Unicorn, asked what he would have to do with Gnomeregan. Do you delay it with a week, with 2 weeks, so people can level? So what they've done is Gnomeregan will be available from day one. But unlike the normal lockout of 3 days, the first 2 lockouts will be weekly. So the first 2 weeks, you can do Gnomeregan twice. So it has lockout from week 1 and lockout from week 2. From there on onwards, after 2 weeks, the normal cadence will be 3 days, as with Black Phantom Deeps. This is to give the people who want to go for like the world first to have that opportunity to do that, but also to give people who are casual levelers like myself to be able to catch up a little bit. If for 2 weeks it's 2 lockouts, you don't miss 4 lockouts, for example. We also quickly covered the botting issue, which is rampant in Seasonal Discovery. And there's some new tech coming in Phase 2. This is currently testing phase on live servers, and we see positive results. Apparently, this is tech that's already implemented in retail version of the game. I don't play retail personally, so I'm not sure if botting is as rampant there as it is in Seasonal Discovery. But it's a good thing to see. They keep fighting these bots. I know they can't share that much just to like not letting them look in their cards. But it's a nice thing to see. Now on to the big one. I left that one for last. No more GDKP runs in Seasonal Discovery. They're going to try something new. GDKP is now deemed as illegal. So whenever you see a GDKP run, this can be reported, and I assume action will be taken against these people who either do or organize these GDKP runs. I think it's not a bad thing to see. It's worth a try. I've never been a big fan of GDKP runs. It kind of encourages people to buy gold to some extent. I do get that as well. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Seasonal Discovery is a tryout. If this sticks, maybe we'll see this in Classic Cataclysm, perhaps, or other iterations of seasonal servers. And that was all. That was a lot to cover. Now, they did specify in the coming days, and soon 2 weeks, week and a half, they're going to share more information about the topics they've mentioned here in more elaborate blue posts. So stay tuned for that as well. If it's worthy of a video, I'll put it in a video. They did say they're gonna elaborate on the GDKP a bit more, so I'll put that in a video as well later on. But for now, thanks for sticking around, and if you like the content, please do like this video, and if you'd like to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye now.